Hey everybody, LoNSlo here. As you can see, I am not on the trail anymore. I was out there for 2.5 months on the AT. Had a great time, met a lot of great people. One of the best things about hiking the AT is the amazing people you will meet along the way, people you will hike with, become friends with, be friends hopefully forever with. I met just some absolutely amazing people, and many amazing people who helped me out along the way, giving me rides as I was hitching in to do resupplies, people who were doing trail magic along the way, just providing drinks and food. Boy, those Coca-Colas and Gatorade and power bars and hamburgers and sausage dogs that people provided, and just so many ways, people giving help. It's unbelievable, the people who give help along the way. But I wanted to go over some of the things that I had in my pack. Maybe I'll just do a change out of the reverse of how I pack it. I'll start with it just packed, and then we'll just unpack it out, and you can see what I had, what worked for me for 2.5 months, 972 miles of trail. So let's head out, see if we can find a great spot to do that in. So see ya in a minute. Let's see here. The first thing I want to go over is what I carried in my outside belt pouch. I started off with 2 of these Z-Pack belt pouches. One I carried snacks and stuff in, stuff like that, and of course the smell of it. It was pretty early on, within the first few weeks. A mouse chewed a hole in it at a shelter. But one of the things I carried in here were earphones in case I needed those to do vlogs and stuff like that along the way. My stick pick, which would go on the end of my Black Diamond flick locks, along with a holder for my iPhone. The iPhone is what I use exclusively to do all my photos and video. iPhone 5, 3 years old, over 3 years old. Always carried a few of these. As you see, my earbuds was in it, and I always kept this as an extra protection to put my phone in it if it began to rain. I carried a bandana in there. I always have a few handy dandy toothpicks in there so that I could pick my teeth. Anyway, that's what's in my belt pouch. Just sometimes had an extra carabiner in the beginning. A lot of times I'd take my buff and pull it through there and have an easy place to carry it when I didn't want it on, or I was taking it on and off as the days warmed up. Other than that, on the front of my pack, I had my watch, just an inexpensive $14 watch. I think I showed it in my early video. On the right pocket, I'd always carry a bottle of smart water. Well, into my hike, I switched to a Sawyer Mini. A lot of people switch away from them and go to the Sawyer Squeeze. I used the Sawyer Squeeze out there for about 2 months. About the last several weeks I was out, I went to a Mini. I liked it. I didn't particularly like using it on a smart water bottle. It works a whole lot better on a bag such as the one that comes with it, or maybe a platypus. I picked up 2 platypuses in Waynesboro. However, they just didn't go in and out. I have one here, and I'll show you why. The bottom of the bag is pleated, and so if you try to get it in and out of your pockets, it's a total pain in the butt. And on the trail, you don't need to be haggling around with stuff that doesn't work well. You want gear that works good and works good all the time, not part-time. The smart water bottles, they're nice and thin, so they go in small, tight pockets, so they go in and out of large pockets. My pack load, this would 3.5 days, this is about 3.5 days supply of food, it's 25.8 ounces right now. That's water, food, totally packed out, 25.8 ounces. One of my many favorite pieces of gear is the Thermarest seat pad. It's very handy. You stop, throw this down. Grass is wet or hard, sitting on stones or big pieces of rock. Wet grass, wet logs, whatever. If it's wet or just hard, it softens it. It's nice and soft. Excellent. I'd highly recommend it. Some people just even carry something even lighter, like a little square of plastic. That works great. It rolls up and you can stuff in a pocket. It's very small. But the added protection of having a little bit of insulation when it's cold, even all the way up into June when I left, the middle of June, the stone and rock higher elevations was still kind of cold to sit on. So yeah, excellent piece of kit. Camp shoes, just cheap camp shoes I use. These work really well. Redhead's Bass Pro Shop. You can see them in my other gear review. Inside the back, I carried this. I never did use it. When I bought the Sawyer Mini, the bag, it came with it, so I carried it the last couple of weeks out on the trail. I didn't really need it, and I would have probably eventually sent it home or thrown it away, put it in a hiker box. Hypodermic syringe that comes with the Sawyer water filters. There's a lot been written or talked about how you can just take the smart water bottle. Even I talked about it because I had done it a bunch of times and just back flushed using these caps. It does work well. However, I found out over 2.5 months that it does not work as well as it should. You cannot put the amount of pressure through your Sawyer, back flushing it, is what you can build with this right here. I promise you. I tested it. I had 2.5 months out there to test it. You just can't do it. I flush my Sawyer Squeeze with a smart water bottle, and when I got one day to doing a zero, I pulled it out, stopped up a sink, a white sink in one of the hotels I was in, and back flushed it. When I bought this one, a syringe came with it, the Mini, and I tried it after back flushing it with this, and it was unbelievable the amount of debris that still came out of it. A dip cup. I use this same one. It was Vonnie, I think. It's very rigid, heavy duty, stuffing it in and out of there every day. You know, on the average, you're probably going to do water at least 3 times a day, maybe 2 times to 3 times a day. In hot weather, it could be as much as 4. Micromanaging water with just 2 smart water bottles. Getting on up into Virginia, there was some stretches that there was a couple of springs that were dry, and we had some long stretches we went through, and I had to pick up 2 more bottles. Actually, I picked up 1 more and a Gatorade bottle, the little 20-ounce Gatorade bottles. I liked it because I could mix up some electrolytes in it during the day, put it in, shake it up, carry it back here, and it didn't change the water flavor of these. If you mix in Gatorade and some of the other ones, it will kind of get into the plastic and change it, and it makes your coffee or something like that taste kind of weird. Carried the long neck titanium spoon on the outside of my pouch. Other than my tent, one of the first things I would do is drop my pack. I think this is pretty much what everybody out there, the thru hikers, everybody I was mainly hiking with nothing but people who had set their heart and their minds exclusively on being a thru hiker, and that's where they were headed, to Katahdin. I switched to this tent. This is a Z-Packs tent. I'll go over it maybe a little bit later, but right now, that was one of the first pieces of gear. I would drop my pack and set up my tent immediately and establish shelter, and then from there pretty much throw my gear in my tent and generally kind of unpacked it in there a lot of times, because my Z-Packs duplex will hold everything. Inside, I stopped during the daytime. I would usually have lunch fixed, be right in the top of my pack. It made it very easy. Just pack up some things early in the morning before I started hiking to have at lunch. And generally snacks I would just stuff in my pants pocket along the way. My outdoor research top, my jacket, rain jacket, as well as my pants. They were usually up here in case I needed them. Once the weather got warm, probably the last month and a half that I hiked, I didn't even bother to put these on. I just hiked in the rain. My gear bag was always right up at the ready. I carried it in the top. So lunch, my rain gear was the first items right in the top of my pack. Then a trash compactor bag. This is the best method I've found. It's lighter, it's just easier to deal with. Nothing on the outside, it doesn't matter if it gets wet anyway, who cares? My Thermarest sleeping pad. I had a Comfort Air. I threw it away after about 10 years of use. This Thermarest is more comfortable than it. My puffy jacket, as they're normally called on the trail, it was in there next. My cocoon pillow, and then a Cedar Summit clothes bag where I kept a pair of shorts, an extra t-shirt, which in the beginning when it was kind of cool, a lot of days I'd start out with my Under Armour t-shirt on over this shirt, and then as the day warmed up I could take it off and then just hang it on the top of my pack or whatever. Shorts, extra pair of socks are in there. We can go over some of that if you want to. The next item that's in the bag was my sleeping bag, 30+ degree bag. It worked out wonderful. It was more than I needed the entire time. And then the next thing, which I always put in first, was my food bag. You always want to pack the heaviest items to the bottom. It's amazing how much difference your pack will carry. A lot of people would put their food bags in the top. That's just a no-no. I tried that once or twice. It just makes it way too top heavy. It doesn't carry well. Put your heavy items to the bottom. My water bladder bag, I would carry my AT guide book. I carried the whole AT guide book the entire time. That way I had access to all of it. Happy 4th of July, people. Thank you. Bye. Happy trails to